Hey, welcome, and I want to thank you. Groundhogs Day was November 7th, 2023. That was yesterday. And it was at Oakland City Hall, as you know, in the afternoon. And on that day, this was the case 7 years ago, right? You know, in the afternoon. And on that day, this was the case 7 years ago, right? You know, in the afternoon. And on that day, as I was saying, and on that day, as you know, 7 years ago, right? Well, it was the same. A rally. Although 7 years ago it was a press conference to introduce the stadium plan to keep the Raiders in Oakland, but it was really a Raiders rally because 500 Raider fans came to that glorious time at and sad time, if you really think about it, at the Oakland Coliseum East Side Club. And but look, yesterday the A's fans were set up for what will be an eventual fall. The affirmative vote of the majority of Major League Baseball owners to allow the Oakland Athletics to relocate away from Oakland and to Sin City, Las Vegas. And look, it was Groundhogs Day. The only difference is that 7 years ago, the mayor was Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Today, or yesterday, if you like, Oakland Mayor Thao, her predecessor, or her successor. And 7 years ago, we had Godfather Griz as one of the speakers. Today, Godfather Griz died of cancer a couple of years ago at the age of 62. 52 years old. I said that accidentally because I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that that happened to Griz. But that's another story. It was Groundhogs Day. Okay. Groundhogs Day is defined as, I actually looked it up. It is a situation, I'm reading, a situation in which a series of unwelcome or tedious events appear to be reoccurring in exactly the same way as defined in the dictionary. So there you go. And if you think about it, what I just gave you is in itself circuitous, right? That was deliberate. The moment Oakland Mayor Thao, now I'm reading from my text, planned this rally and effort to back a faulty resolution that says the Oakland A's belong in Oakland and the Oakland Athletics do, because when they move to Las Vegas, they're not going to be the Oakland Athletics anymore. They're going to be the Las Vegas Athletics. So, in point of fact, the Oakland A's really will have remained in Oakland. Think about it. All right. The event yesterday was one that this Oakland vlogger found himself not wanting to be a part of because it was too painful, too much like what happened 7 years ago to want to deal with. And so I went to run errands for mom because that's what I'm here to do in Georgia, even though I've been rather sick of late. And so that's what I did. Later, the social media scene that was what this Oakland vlogger did not want to see happened. False hope pushed to unknowing and hopeful Oakland Athletics fans, perhaps like yourself, completely unaware of the culture that they're dealing with in Las Vegas. Little by little, the tentacles of the way of life in what is called Sin City wrap themselves around the Oakland A's and are slowly making them the Las Vegas A's. It is not a way that Oaklanders or Californians, pioneers of the lawsuit happy tree hugger, and legal defenders of the microbe you never knew existed are anywhere close to. Nothing. And that's because there's one fact that guides Las Vegas. It's developer friendly. in italics, all right? Developer friendly in letters written in large font, say like 1000 point, okay? Seriously. Or as now former Las Vegas Mayor Oscar Goodman once put it, right now, it's a very easy place to do business. The ease of doing business extends to the network of relationships a developer must establish in order to get his or her project approved and under construction. But once in place, all right, once all that's done, it's hard to break the process. The process, all right? The process assures that little bothersome lawsuits like schools, not stadiums, don't see the light of day. It's the same process, it's the same culture that squashed my complaint before the Nevada Ethics Commission 8 years ago, filed in 2016. And it's the same one that's more welcoming to the Oakland A's than its own city of Oakland. Did you hear what I just told you? Did you hear what I just told you? Okay. It's something the city of Oakland did not even stop to acknowledge and still has not. It is a big dynamic the mayor of Oakland blindly ignores when she says she expects the Major League Baseball owners to call her. She said that. It's on Casey Pratt's interview with her on Twitter. She said it. They can call me anytime. Think about what that means. Hard. Think about it, okay? It's rather than she get on a plane, getting herself to the meeting, demanding to have an audience with the owners and making a case for Oakland. I have been here before, folks. That's not the way you do it the way Shang is doing it, because basically it's not far from how Libby did it. You hear what I'm saying? The city of Oakland has learned nothing from this. I mean, nothing. Moreover, the city of Oakland is not interested in learning how to avoid this problem. The only reason it will not make a mistake is if there are no sports teams to lose. All right, that's it. But hey, trust me, when there's a sports team to lose, gone. Now, I want to explain something to you all. Thank you for joining me on this now that I've read my prepared text, because I want to talk to you about what's going on here. Okay? These really are two different cultures. In Nevada, once you get to know the right lobbyists who are local, who know the judges, who know the elected officials, what you're trying to do has an outstanding chance of getting approved. You want an example of what I'm talking about? Look at a facility that has no business even being still considered to be built, yet it is, and now has the money. That's called All Net Arena by the great Jackie Robinson. That's the man's name, is developer, former sports athlete, who had a hard time getting his financing initially, but got it. Guess who kept moving the goalposts for him to get that money? The Clark County Commissioners. All right? In spite of the fact that you had certain bloggers out there like Vital Vegas saying, hey, why are you doing this? Hey, hey, hey. And I kept saying to him, why don't you just give the man a chance? He's got the land. He bought the land outright for, I believe, $3.85 million. Give him a chance. They like him. Do you understand? They like him. It's different for Major League Baseball because Dave Kaval walked in and made the mistake of befriending the wrong people who just happen to have bad relationships with other people. And I'm not going to go into detail regarding the names that are involved. Okay. All right. But I will tell you this. He straightened it out once he got the lobbying group engaged. And once he got Mark Davis behind him. All right. And also Mark Bedane. I know what Mark Bourdain said in the past, but Mark is not part of the Raiders anymore. But Mark Davis was in a perfect position to sandbag what Dave Cobble was doing. And Mark told me early on, a year ago, that he didn't like that Dave Cobble was there. In fact, he said something so bad about Dave Cobble that I just knee jerk turned off my camera, which I shouldn't have done. I should have let it run. But it was pretty bad. Okay. So between that time and now, there has been a great chasm that has been closed between the two parties. Hey, it'll never be perfect. It's going to take a long time before it is. But the chasm has been closed enough to where, that's right, the A's can see their way to a groundbreaking in a timely fashion. In part because Mark himself understood how difficult it was to get Oakland to do anything, which is a whole other story, but still related to this. All right. There is a reason you have two major sports organizations from Oakland now in Las Vegas for all practical purposes. For all practical purposes, and with no turnaround in sight. You can give up that dream. That's not happening. That's why yesterday was Groundhogs Day. That's why yesterday was Groundhogs Day. You have the NFL and Major League Baseball that seek gambling money. For some particular reason best known to A's fans, you all refuse, and I'm speaking to those of you who may be watching, refuse to accept the power of the desire for sports organizations to be involved in gambling. Why is it so powerful? Simply because the rights fees from television are dwindling. This is true for Major League Baseball. This is true for the NFL, where the rate of increase in the fee is starting to decrease. It's not going the other way yet. But the reason why you have the NFL switching, for example, from DirecTV for its Sunday ticket to YouTube is because YouTube and Google have grown to the point where they can afford to actually buy it for several billion and reach the level of the Foxes. But they're lowering. Why? Because the money from cable is lessening because of cord cutting. Why is cord cutting happening? Because the cable operators became very greedy in terms of what they could get, and they were trying to get more of it north, even as viewership was declining because of the existence of this bad boy, the smartphone. Digital media has wrecked the standard rights fee structure of sports. At the same time, it has provided an opportunity too. But will it be the same 20 years from now? No. 40 years from now? No. It'll be different. Just how different? Well, the key is the ability of the sports leagues, and I don't want to get too far off the track on that, to buy their own outlets and get the advertisers involved so that they can get the eyeballs that the compensation that they demand guarantees. All right, at that level. So, hey, RD and Kate, I'll get that in a second. So, sports gambling is vitally important to be involved in. And just like everything else, and this gets to the linchpin example of why both organizations have moved, California has limped and limped and limped and not totally committed itself to a gambling structure for sports. I had Nate Miley, Alameda County Supervisor, on my show earlier this year. He told me outright he does not want sports gambling. He says if sports gambling is involved, he's out. That's exactly what he said to me, or words to that effect, out of respect for my friend. He doesn't like sports gambling, but it is a necessary evil. Why did Mark Davis move from Oakland to Las Vegas? Because he found a 114-page document that I have a copy of from a professor at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which explained in detail how to do sports gambling in a way that fraud was far less possible and that the operation of it was far more robust from a securities perspective. Mark took that document to Eric Grubman and the National Football League and made his case from that point on. Similarly, Major League Baseball already gains $1.4 billion from sports gambling. Hey, Chicago Cubs looking at $100 million from it. All right. If you do the math with respect to what the A's can get in Las Vegas, it looks like $200 million alone, spread out over a 10-year period. That's $20 million a year. That's just like any kind of naming rights agreement. But the difference is you can't get it in California. And California refuses to get that message. And there's no alternative. No one's fashioned an alternative in California. All right? Yet, sports gambling is doing what around the country? It's proliferating after the Supreme Court decision originally back in 2014. Okay? Let me get to your comments before I get too far. He says, Artie Marsh says, I watched the meeting. Several people in the crowd seemed to be seat fillers that didn't know what was going on. Kate Moose says, do you think schools over stadiums is going to affect the A's move? Zero. They're getting a taste of what I ate, put it just like that, 7 years ago. And that is 8 years ago, excuse me. And that is when I filed my complaint to the Nevada Ethics Commission, thinking I had the right argument, did the homework, both the legal homework, the legal statutes, the court cases, the whole 9 yards. Nothing. All right. So I watched these guys, and hey, Alexander Marks lives in Las Vegas, but he's young. All right. Spin their wheels thinking that they had the perfect argument and all this stuff. And as I said before, and I'll repeat again, it wasn't perfect. It was not a perfect argument at all. But it wasn't perfect because they didn't want it. So they fashioned a reason not to want it. And what happens is that they're not going to give you, and I had the same experience, they're not going to tell you how to fill out the complaint document. I had a long conversation about this with the then executive director, a very nice woman of the Nevada Ethics Commission. I tried the sweet talker. I invited her to join me for dinner in Las Vegas. I did all that. Nothing. Okay? Nothing. I'm not like these guys who just, insist on, oh, I'm right and you're wrong and do this. That will also get you booted real fast. Okay? Real fast. Especially in Las Vegas. Las Vegas people don't like that. I'm explaining to you how this culture works. All right? Because folks who are driving the stadium, the Schools Not Stadium initiative, like Michael Cobruno, my friend who's on the Port Commission of Oakland, true, all right? He doesn't get it. He doesn't know. Michael thinks he knows, which is the other problem. Michael got his blankety blank handed to him. Sorry, Michael, but you did. All right? And you didn't ask. You know what I asked? Hey, Zinni, you've been through this before. I'm happy to answer anybody's question. But they all think they got it. So I just kind of sat back and said, okay. And I didn't laugh either because it's not funny. So I'll get to yours in a second, Vegas. Let me come back to you. So anyway, no, absolutely not. What happened in court? Very simple. The judge said, hey, the judge bought the argument that was given to him by the plaintiffs, which is the defendants didn't fill out the document completely. Now, who saw that coming? All right. There's no disclaimer. You must fill this out completely. That's not how Nevada does it. All right. So what happens if they go back and do it all over again? Let's say they fill it out completely. I will bet you credits to Navy beans. There'll be something else they didn't do. All right. You hear me? There'll be something else they didn't do, they didn't consider. And they'll get their hat handed to them yet again. And then they'll get the message. And the second time will be more embarrassing than the first. You mark my words. All right. They don't get it. They don't get it. Once Major League Baseball passes this and the political winds look even better, you can kiss that stuff goodbye. Thanks. Mark says, do you think schools overstatement is going to affect the A's move? I answered that one. In Vegas, Mark says, they're done. Las Vegas A's are all but a reality. Yep, it's true. Vegas Mark says, when it comes to sports gambling, where California goes, the rest of the country leaves California behind. Well, I think what you mean to say is that California is behind the rest of the United States. And that's one shocking truth. This is the one area of life that California has really fallen behind, even Illinois. I mean, who'd have thunk it, okay? Or take your pick. Any of the 36 states where sports gambling is legal. But hey, when it comes to marijuana, oh yeah, California's ahead. Gotcha. See, when it comes to, my friend of mine put it very well many years ago, Pia Pereira. Gotta see how he's doing. He's living in Tokyo. Anyway, Pia said to me, we were meeting in 1992 at the Embarcadero Center for the party that was held just before the Beta Breakers when the San Francisco Examiner owned the property. And I was at 3 Embarcadero and having a glass of wine waiting for him. And we showed up and he just come back from New York. And he was in mergers and acquisitions attorney. And so, Zinni, if I go to New York, if I go to Washington, D.C., it's about power. Oh, I've got to meet with Senator X or Congressperson Y. If I go to New York, it's about deals. I'm trying to start this company and I've got this financing and everything else. He says, but when I come to the Bay Area, but keep him out at the time, okay? He goes, it's leisure. Look at all these sunglasses. And he's right. Okay? He's right. If you would move the strict forward to today, you would have been venture capitalists. But you don't see anybody trying to change the law to get a startup approved that would ease the way for sports gambling or any type of alternative sports way to make money in sports, like through, in the internet, do game development, right? Nothing like that. Okay. So again, but when it comes to marijuana, leisure, sunglasses, hey, right? Oh yeah, we got it going. Smoke that doobie and relax and get nothing done. This has been a case for a long, long time in California's cultural history. I remember it was actually Pia told me about it. It's a guy named, the guy that actually developed a long time ago, the Pleasanton Shopping Center. Came from New York. The Pleasanton Shopping Center had sat in a moribund, undeveloped condition for 4 years. He came from New York. He got it done in, get this, 6 months. You hear me? 6 months, because he understood process, whereas his predecessors were all about, oh, leisure. Oh, leisure. I got my land. Oh, okay. Sometimes it says the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? Think about it. Mark Davis is a smart man. He certainly is. John Marks, yeah, that's going to happen. Hey, how you doing? Wolverine Wolverines writes, anyway, the A's rebrand to new colors or name when in Vegas, keep the ugly Packers colors in Oakland. No, they're going to keep them there because it's their brand and it's what people expect. I'm more interested in seeing what the new ballpark really looks like. Now that we know it's not going to be the other thing, we know that, hey, Ben Garcia is involved. Remember Ben Garcia, the man who developed the Stadium 51 concept? Yeah. Wolverines, Vegas Mark says the Wolverine green and gold fits Vegas like a glove. The color of money. True. He says, sorry, but save those colors to street signs. Vegas Mark says, can't wait till next week. A new ballpark renderings, Major League Baseball vote, and F1, Las Vegas. Yep. He says, they'll never get it. Welcome to the Tropicana at the Strip. And Vegas says, next year, the old Tropicana will become the next Vegas implode casino. Vegas tradition since 1993. John Mark says, welcome, brother. And he says, you can't stay, but I just want to say great job, Zenny. Watch horror films, keep America strong. I like that one. You got it. Now, this gets to back to Oakland, okay? And what the problem is. The other problem and it's a child of the first one regarding how Nevada Culture Alert works, is how City of Oakland culture works. City of Oakland culture likes to do things on its own time. Which means if you're a big organization like the National Football League and the Super Bowl, or Major League Baseball trying to build a new ballpark, and you want to get something done in a timely fashion, you are better off doing precisely what the Athletics did, or you get stuck. In my case, with the Super Bowl, I had people who were jealous that Robert Bob tabbed me to work on it. I had, and I'll say his name out loud because what he did was wrong. I had Clint Bolden, who was the Deputy Director of Economic Development. This is back in 1999. Deliberately keep the bid book. I had asked an intern who was begging me to hire her to help me on the Super Bowl when she didn't even work for me. She worked for Janet Howley. All right. I told her, leave me alone for 3 weeks. Finally gave her an assignment. I said, pretend you're a student, call San Diego, say you're writing a research report on Super Bowl and you'd like a copy of their bid book. They made a copy, said, send us $60. She comes to me and says, I need $60. She told me what for. I wrote the check. She got it. Next thing I know, Bolden and her are working out some weird scheme to make me look bad. He had the book, didn't tell me he had the book. I had to knock on his door 25 minutes because the Lord put it in my head. He's got your book. That's the only reason I knew. There was no internet. There was no secret thing. I just sensed it. That was the Lord saying, this dude's got your book. And we're going to get it for you. Got it. They put me through so much trouble. If it wasn't him, it was Sally Roach, then the head of the Coliseum on behalf of SMG. The modern counterpart is Nicole Strange, who represents ASM Global for the same Coliseum as managers, right? Didn't answer the questions properly. The league sent the city and the JPA and the county regarding hosting the Super Bowl. Robert Bob turned to me. I straightened everything out within the process of one night. You hear me? One night and almost 24 hours of work. All right, you see the difference here in this? You see how the culture works? They slow around, but the people who want it done, get it done in a timely fashion. This is constant in Oakland. This has been Oakland's modus operandi ever since I was an intern, going all the way back to 1987. You hear what I'm saying? 1987. And it's just got worse. That's it. All right. And you all rely on them, A's fans, thinking, oh, you're going to trumpet what the mayor asks you to do. You're not going to criticize the mayor. But A's fans were different. Excuse me, Raiders fans were different. From A's fans, they didn't put up with that at all. They expected the government to do what the government is supposed to do: economic development, business retention, aggressive action, not sitting around like it's smoking a doobie. You see the connection? You see what I'm getting at here? Oakland likes to do things on Oakland's time. Oakland likes to sit back and luxuriate and relax and take a whole Friday off or whatever and do something else on the taxpayer dollar. Working in a timely fashion. Hey, look, you want to know how you get that? When you're working on the Super Bowl in Oakland, you call the right people. Calvin Wong, the late Manette Baliveau, who was over the Oakland Convention and Visitors Bureau, we now call Visit Oakland. God bless them for what they did for us. Calvin Wong got a 12-member team of Oakland employees from Public Works. We had one of the best meetings I have ever presided over in my entire doggone life. Ever. All right? If we'd gotten the Super Bowl tomorrow, we were ready. Police, fire, we had it all figured out because I'd already mapped it out, which gave them comfort because they knew how I wanted it done, how the league would want it done, compared with what they could do and the parameters. So the meeting went very smoothly. Okay. Planning background helps. So, all right. But when you don't have that, you have politicians getting in the way. That's why you need a process. You need an Oakland Community County Sports Commission. You need a Joint Powers Authority. You need a Stadium Authority in the Nevada case, or the Nashville Stadium Authority in the Tennessee case, or the Washington Stadium Authority in the DC case. Stadium authorities are the process. Why? Because they assure monthly meetings. They assure a constant focus on the project that has nothing to do with a schedule for a particular matter, like, say, a term sheet, only to have the media confuse the term sheet with a development agreement. That doesn't happen when you have a stadium authority with monthly meetings, documents you can review online today, and a process such that you know where the schedule is supposed to go. You can gauge it, you can see it, they can follow it. Oakland had no such schedule that a stadium authority was following, not even the city council. The city council never had monthly updates for Howard Terminal. Think about it. Everything, because it was all piecemeal, it became what? Media driven. And so you all were, the dopamine was going crazy because you're waiting to hear all these things from the media as opposed to from your stadium authority. Why? Because stadium authority didn't exist. The public financing authority that they should have created back in 2019 after California governors signed SB 293 Skinner law was never created and would still have to be created today. And then given the reasons why they didn't do it, well, they said, well, downtown we still have bonds we have to pay off. It's $53 million. If you're looking at total assessed value of $1.6 billion, assuming a 4% rate of growth in assessed value, and $2 billion in privately owned construction to start, not to mention $9.7 billion that would occur if it filled build out, or excuse me, the $12 billion that would occur if it filled build out, which results in a $9.7 billion revenue throw off at 4% rate of growth in the assessed value for the legally allowed 45 years. Okay? So you are at this position where when you have all of this in place, you know you have enough money, you parked that downtown money in, but they didn't see, the consultants had no experience at this. They misread the law, forgot that the part of the law that discusses Redevelopment is dormant. It's dead. It's a whole new ball game, literally. But Century Urban didn't get that message, and then the council members are believing them. I had Lauren Taylor screaming at me on the phone about how the consultants know things and I don't. And here I am. I got 37 years over the consultant. That was insulting. Talk about a brother, not trusting a brother because the brother's a council member. He's big time in you. That's why Lauren lasted for 1 4-year term. Okay, that was it. He got there. He got too big time too fast. Didn't listen to the right people. And then when it came up to, I'm saying this bluntly, when it came to the point where people were ready to fight for him, including me, he gets on the podium and backs down and lets Shang have it. So how was he going to be his mayor? Was he going to fight? Nope. No. If you can't fight for yourself, who can you fight for? Ultimately. All right? I'm here helping my mother. I had to fend off fraudulent company attack. Got the guy to write a zero-out invoice to try and take advantage of my mother. No, you don't do that to my mother. No. I know what to do to make you look bad. I made him look bad. His own franchise partners were calling him and saying, knock it off. Okay? You got to be able to fight for what you want. All right? You got to be able to fight for what you want. And that gets to what mistake Shang made, same as Libby. They have to call me. No. You get on the plane. You go down there. You make the case. You wear A's colors. You call and ask them, and hey, they say no, you show up anyway with a news brigade. Heck, take Casey with you. All right? Do something. But don't say, oh, I'm sitting back waiting for your call. Like, I'm you don't big time Major League Baseball. But Shang has done that a number of times. She big timed them by sending her chief of staff and her communications representative, all attractive, all accomplished, smart women. Let's put it right there, out there where it is, okay? But they weren't the people you bring with you to get the job done. You don't eye candy Major League Baseball. It was disrespectful. You don't do that. That's Shang's version of big timing. I'm the mayor. I can do what I want. No, you can't do what you want and expect to get something. So who should she have taken? Her newly minted chief administrative officer. She should have asked Gavin to come, which would have spoke volumes. You walk into the room with the heavy hitters who can make a difference. You don't walk into the room with people who are there only to protect you, to fill numbers because maybe they're representing other people that you can't get to come with you. It was a bad look. It was a very bad look. All right? She could have taken, hey, city administrator and county administrator, Susan Marinici. Awesome. Susan can get things done. Okay? But Shang didn't do that. And what it demonstrates is she speaks in her own little culture within the city rather than actually branching out and asking for help. She is too something going up here afraid, I think it is, to really ask for help. She called me once or texted me, said she wanted to meet to talk about tax increment financing and learn more about enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation. This was February 2nd of last year. I've talked about it a bunch. But she said she wanted to make the medium secret. And then she had homework for me, but she wanted to pay me. She said she had a consultant. It's ridiculous. All right? Absolutely ridiculous. You cannot gain success out of any of this. Do you understand? Lee and those of you watching, you cannot gain success out of that at all. You have to talk with people you don't like. Everybody understands you have an objective that's beyond parochial interests. But when your focus doesn't go beyond parochial interests, you don't make those calls. That's why we're in the position we're in as a city. That's why you had a resolution out there that said in big letters, hey, we want to build a Howard terminal. But then further down in the same resolution, it said, but we also want to build in all the other places too. What is that? What is that? It's not what you do. Okay, so now we know what we've all done wrong. Here's the question. What do we do to move forward? First of all, we all come together as one. That's the first thing. We don't have to love each other. We just have to respect each other enough to know that we have one objective, the improvement of Oakland. But guess what? And I hope the mayor realizes this. We're all working on the mayor's behalf. I don't know if Shang realizes that or not. If I keep doing what I'm doing and pushing, or with pushing with the JPA, you know who ultimately looks good? Shang Thao ultimately looks good. If Shang doesn't recognize that, we're in some massive trouble. I mean, gigantic. If people really had issues with the mayor, like a number of people do, they wouldn't do anything. Me, I don't have a personal issue with Shang. I'm actually happy for Shang. I don't like how Shang has handled her job. Those are two different things. Okay? You have to be intelligent enough to separate them. So I have to be her open critic, which means, hey, she can get better. All right? Unquestionably. But she has to stop keeping her own counsel and get outside of the little group of people she talks to that she likes. You have to talk to people you don't like. And you know what? You might just find that you do actually like them, especially when you get what you want. That's what it should be about, getting what you want. Because in this case, theoretically, I think if the mayor gets what she wants, the whole city is much better. Because I would think that the mayor's objectives align with what city makes the city better, right? Don't you? So far, she's acted like that to a degree, except when it comes to bringing people together. Then she likes to divide people. You can't do that one and then do that. Got to stop it. Got to stop it. One of the mayor's major job objectives is right there in the charter is the improvement of the city through economic development. To the extent the mayor doesn't do that, arguably the mayor could be recalled, fired. I don't want that for Shang. Shang has come a long way. I thought one day about when I was through thinking about what she had done wrong, but I thought something came over me. I was just really happy. And I'll tell you why. Because she got what she wanted after going through a lot. That's why. And she has went through a lot. But at some point, Shang's got to take off that coat, brush herself off, and go forward anew. She's got to shed that stuff. Because if she doesn't shed it, it'll become the dirt on her that people smell, and they won't be able to get beyond the scent. She has to be magnanimous to everybody. She can't go out, insulting people or Major League Baseball, because you need something from all these folks. This is the perfect place of saying, hey, look, be nice to people when you go up because you might see them when you come down. That is classically true. Everybody knows it. All right. If you don't know it by now, I hope you realize. Okay. And then we should form a public financing authority. And then we should go after another Major League Baseball team. You hear what I'm saying? Hey, the A's are leaving. We can replace you. Long-term relationship, you get a divorce. It doesn't stop. You're still alive. You can date. You can get married again. Do that. Don't stop. Okay? Keep going. Keep going. Have RFPs. And this is the other thing too. We can have a scaled down ballpark. Scaled down from what? It was never John Fisher's intent to build the whole $12 billion of construction at once. The way you guys put it, I'm thinking, did anybody bother to read the phased plan? It's phased. Phased means it's done in stages with different developers. The city can do that right now. They just have to scale down anything. I'm gonna say this straight out. A word I'm gonna use people don't like. That's stupid. Okay? I looked at the whole resolution. I said, my first reaction was like Scooby-Doo. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. Now I'm going to get to the matter of financing. Some folks out there are saying, well, the A's don't have their financing lined up. No, they do. Through Greg Carey and Goldman Sachs. Greg Carey has been at this. He's a stalwart at this for a long, long time. So is the case, such as the key case for Elliott McCabe of Bank of America and their sports financing division. A man I happened to meet, and I said this before, I wrote this on Twitter, at the 2019 Raiders sponsor party that I was actually invited to because my buddy Bruce was invited by the Raiders looking to invite tech investors. And Bruce immediately thought of me and goes, hey, Raiders, I got to bring Zinni. Thanks, buddy. And we had a great time. We even have a video of us talking about the affair. But I met Elliott and I was talking to him about the need to use tax increment financing around the Raiders stadium to take advantage of all of that growth that was happening because the Raiders were building, right? So you get all this land just in value exchanging hands, right? So if it's in a redevelopment area and you're using tax increment financing, which is the definition of that, you've got all this property changing hands. What happens? The property goes up, right? What does that do to the tax increment revenue? It drives it up if you have it, right? So I said that, and Elliott thought that's a good idea. And Dan Ventrelli, who was the Raiders' legal guy at the time, Mark Bedane was just over there in the meeting. He was president. Was nodding because he realized that Elliott was nodding. I said, yeah, that's something you guys really ought to do. Did they? But I think what happened was the sports tourism boundary, I believe, came out of that. Okay. Because they didn't have a sports tourism. They didn't have an idea for a sports tourism boundary, which gets to my other issue regarding Oakland. The people in Las Vegas listen to me a lot faster than the folks in Oakland. A lot faster. Like, for example, that community benefits portion of SB1, where the community organizations can have the right to use certain boxes in Allegiant Stadium. You know where that came from? It came from me. Why? Because I told them during the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meetings that how we handled that problem they were talking about. I said, hey, look, you ought to get this out here because otherwise you're going to deal with it as a problem regarding with community groups. I said, that's a great idea. Let's do it. They wasted no time in doing it. No, it wasn't anyone saying, he's this and all that stuff. Okay. Nothing. All right. Rap Album Depot says the Anaheim Angels renovated the Big A $100 million at a time in 1996-97. A renovated Coliseum would be one of the best ballparks in Major League Baseball. Upon opening in 68, it was considered a masterpiece. I highly agree. And now that, since we're talking about it, why don't we do an on-spec NFL stadium right next to it? And while we're talking about that, why don't we just, you know how we have the mound that's built? Why don't we just raise that mound? We have a mound over here for the arena, right? We would take that and extend it over to the stadium and build all that anew and raise it up, right? Dig a channel for the slow, deepen it because we have that drainage issue, right? And then take that dirt and raise that whole area. Sea level rise. Okay. I mean, we need to do something. We've been sitting on this for just way too long. Thank you for that rap album, Depo. Thank you very much. All right, folks. 50 minutes of talking. I know you're probably tired of me right now. Or not. But I'll be back to talk more about this. And look. Oh, don't worry about the financing. I want to reiterate that point. I know Casey put something on Twitter. We had a list of what they didn't have. Like, the new renderings. HNTB is in a competition with Gensler as we speak. And the A's are any day now from announcing the winner. And they're going to show what the winner's creation looks like. Ooh. So it's HNTB and BARC with Ben Garcia, working for HNTB, who's a Stadium 51 guy, versus Gensler, the company that Ben previously worked for. Interesting. All right. Fun stuff, folks. And live long and prosper, and God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you. And please subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube if you haven't already. And bookmark Zenny